Hey, what's up? Hope you're ready for a proper walkthrough of the update that just landed, because there's a surprising amount packed into this one. And I want to take you through what changed, why it matters, and what you might notice the next time you boot the game. First off, the update adds a whole stack of community items that are clearly aimed at letting players personalize their profiles and show off a bit more personality in the online spaces. We're talking trading cards for a bunch of characters, rank badges that span sort of the usual D to S tiers, a handful of emoticons, profile backgrounds, animated avatar frames, and avatars. The kind of stuff that doesn't change how the game plays, but gives the community more toys to collect and flex. If you're someone who spends time in the Steam ecosystem or likes to curate a profile, these additions are exactly that small, satisfying polish you didn't know you wanted. Under the hood, though, this update leans hard on fixes and stability improvements. And that's where it gets meaningful for anyone grinding through the later stages or trying to conquer challenge modes. Multiple soft locks and free scenarios were addressed, especially ones tied to pausing, restarting from checkpoints, and certain talisman interactions. Those kinds of issues are the exact things that interrupt momentum and make a game feel brittle. So seeing them targeted suggests the developers were listening to player reports and prioritized smoothing gameplay flow. You'll likely notice fewer times where the game freezes or drops you into a broken state that requires a restart. Boss fights and encounter behavior got attention too. Several boss-related bugs were corrected, including problems with bosses getting pushed out of view, lingering attack hitboxes that didn't clear properly, and challenge triggers that weren't awarding correctly. For players who enjoy the precise timing and memorization that boss patterns demand, clearing up those quirks matters a lot. It restores fairness to fights that relied on consistent telegraphing and knockback behavior. In practice, this means fights should feel more predictable and less like you're being punished by an inconsistent state machine. There are also a number of level-specific fixes focused on collision and clipping. If you ever managed to squeeze through geometry or were launched into areas where you could skip content or get stuck, this update plugs those holes. That's the kind of patch note that seems small on paper but ends up preventing frustration in actual runs, especially speedruns or any playthroughs where sequence breaks were being exploited unintentionally. Fixing those out-of-bounds exploits is also important for preserving intended difficulty and pacing. On the platform side, earlier updates introduced a target FPS option for the Nintendo Switch line, and the team has kept working on performance boosts and options across platforms, which matters because whether you're on a Switch or a Steam Deck or a high-refresh monitor, consistent performance changes how responsive everything feels. The target FPS option gave Switch 2 owners the choice to push for 60 frames per second instead of the 30 default, and subsequent patches have continued to tidy up performance and visual filters so players can choose a look or frame rate that best suits their setup. That context makes the stability work in this update even more relevant, because once you change a performance profile, you often surface edge cases that only show up at higher frame rates or different timing windows. Localization and accessibility touches are also present. There were improvements in multiple language packs and fixes that make talisman interactions and accessibility settings behave more consistently. Those are the less glamorous fixes, but they're crucial for making the experience reliable for a wider set of players. When UI text or item interactions are inconsistent, it can break immersion or create confusion about how a particular mechanic should work. Small accessibility tweaks sneakily improve the whole game for people who rely on predictable feedback. If you've been tracking the patch history, you'll notice this update follows a pattern. Cosmetic and community additions layered on top of a focused sweep of fixes that address player-reported problems. The developer communications and patch notes published on official channels outline specific changes and platform notes. And while the cosmetic items are fun, the bug fixes are the part that will affect how you play and perform, especially in the later stages and during boss rematches. It's that balance between giving players more to collect and making sure the mechanical foundation is solid. And finally, on the user experience side, this kind of update is one of those moments where you can feel the game maturing. Collectibles and profile cosmetics increase the game's social surface area, while the stability and collision fixes reduce the kinds of annoyances that make runs feel cheap. If you're a completionist, a speedrunner, or someone who just wants clean, tight encounters, the core fixes are the ones to be grateful for. If you're more into the social side, the community items give you more ways to brand your profile and show off favorite characters. Both paths are covered here, and that's a neat combination to see in a single patch. That's the long and short of what landed with this update. A mix of cosmetics and meaningful fixes that clean up the rough edges and let the game shine a bit more, whether you're focused on precision runs or just enjoying the atmosphere and character collectibles.